Good afternoon. During the recent election, there has been a significant talk about renewable energy and a cleaner environment. So I thought it was important today to give our Bermuda public just an update on what's been happening around renewable energy and a cleaner environment by this government. In the PLP election platform, the Premier talked about a green revolution. I wanted the Bermuda public to know it has already begun. It is no coincidence that the PLP's main color is green. That green represents the PLP. It also represents renewable energy and a greener environment. As Minister responsible for the environment and the regulatory authority, renewable energy has been a top priority for me. My efforts have included the facilitation to local adoption of renewable energy production and infrastructure, and also related technologies by both business and residents alike. I am very proud of our efforts and the plans that we have for the future. Last year, the regulatory authority released the Integrated Resource Plan, known as the IRP, which outlines a framework for Bermuda's energy requirements for the next 25 years. Within the first 6 years of that plan, the island is slated to add 21 megawatts of solar photovoltaic power generation, up to 30 megawatts of distributed generation through solar, residential, and small-scale solar, 60 megawatts of wind power, which will be offshore wind, while specific engines at the BELCO plant that are dependent on fossil fuel will be decommissioned, and biomass generation as another source of renewable energy is scheduled for deployment by 2028. Our efforts are consistent with the IRP. Our successes thus far include a number of the following initiatives: the partnership with Saturn Power Incorporated for a solar farm at the Finger, which is at the Ellis Wade International Airport, was the first step at introducing commercial-scale solar developments in line with the Integrated Resource Plan. And I can advise that despite COVID-19 related setbacks and unforeseen challenges, that project is tested to be commissioned this month. The solar farm operation and maintenance contract will be overseen by a Bermudian company. When I was the Minister of Transport and Regulatory Affairs, I entered into a memorandum of understanding with the Rocky Mountain Institute to make recommendations to reduce fossil fuel emissions and the production of renewable energy in Bermuda. Pending projects with RMI include the electrification of the public bus fleet, the electrification of public works motor vehicle fleet, and also identifying utility-scale solar power sites and aggregation of solar photovoltaic on all government properties that qualify. Last year, we implemented the LED bulb exchange program, allowing members of the public to exchange 10 incandescent light bulbs for 10 LED light bulbs free of charge. This was part of our effort to educate the public about and to promote the benefits of LED lighting. We have discussed also with the industry and members of the community the total phasing out of incandescent bulbs in Bermuda altogether. In 2018, the Department of Energy, which is run by Ms. Jean Nicolai, who's sitting to my left, implemented the Solar Rebate Program. The Solar Photovoltaic Rebate Initiative, SPRI, is currently available to any resident in Bermuda who wishes to install a solar photovoltaic generation system on a residential dwelling which they own, provided that the ARV is $120,000 or less. This rebate was launched 11th of October 2018. Thus far, the Energy Rebate Program has paid out more than 70 rebate claims since its inception. As a reminder, homeowners with an ARV under $30,000 per annum could avail themselves of up to $8,000 rebate. Homeowners with ARVs between $30,000 and $65,000 can receive up to $4,000 rebate, and homeowners with ARVs between $65,000 and $125,000 can expect a $2,000 rebate. For this modest investment, we have managed to add close to half a megawatt of additional solar voltaic capacity to the island. We've also worked with the Ministry of Finance to introduce customs duty reductions and exemptions for renewable energy products. Since October 1st, 2018, parts of our electric vehicle charging stations have been also afforded duty-free rebate, and also accessories of other products have been duty-free, while electric vehicles themselves have been duty-free since 2011-2012. Electric vehicle batteries have been added to the duty-free list since 2017. Our efforts to move to renewable energy have galvanized most of the departments in my ministry, particularly the Department of Energy, the Department of Environment and Natural Resources, and the Department of Planning, which is overseen by Ms. Victoria Pereira, who is sitting to my right. We have a close relationship with the regulator to achieve these efforts. You will also be aware that in 2019, we entered into a memorandum of understanding with the Waite Institute to preserve 20% of our 180,000 square mile exclusive economic zone EEZ, while creating what is now referred to as the Bermuda Ocean Prosperity Program, known as BOP. The steering committee of BOP includes a number of stakeholder groups, including the aforementioned ministry departments, other government departments, stakeholders from the fishing industry, the Bermuda Economic Development Corporation, and many others. This program looks at what opportunities we can develop to increase the capacity and diversity of our commercial fishing industry, and also other marine projects, which also include renewable energy. A September 2020 report that I received from the Waite Institute and in conjunction with the Rocky Mountain Institute for the BOP presented to myself and the ministry proposed marine renewable energy solutions, including wind, floating solar, and wave technology. I was extremely impressed with this report, to say the least, and I am excited about the opportunity to present this report eventually to the public, but also the prospects that we have as an island for developing renewable energy in the oceans around us. Our efforts also include, with the help of the Department of Planning, expedited planning approval in conjunction with the Department of Energy that is now in place for renewable energy projects, resulting in a much more streamlined and quicker process. There is a scheme of delegation introduced in February 2020 that has been an absolute game changer for the planning process. Allows the Director of Planning to approve those solar photovoltaic applications which exceed the scope of what is allowed to be approved under the General Development Order, the GDO legislation. We have seen significant number of proposals requiring full planning application for solar panels that fall just outside the parameters of the GDO. Hence, the Department of Planning has made the point to expediting these applications and have them approved by the Director. The Department has identified this as a primary reason to revise the GDO and is currently compiling a list of changes which they will recommend to myself for the GDO to start taking the next steps for certain amendments. Renewable energy is also a major consideration around the matter related to BELCO and the change in control with Algonquin Power and Utilities Corporation. Paramount among the concerns and the issues that I have with this is ensuring that customers will not be paying more for their electricity bill as a result of the potential acquisition, and that any potential acquisition adheres to the integrated resource plan. And I will have more to say about this later in my presentation. While much has been achieved, there is much that is currently in progress right now. We are also introducing a competent persons scheme. The competent persons scheme will start with solar installers and existing companies in the solar industry in Bermuda in the first phase to become certified through meeting a criteria and trusted to carry out installations for solar installs of panels and other technology without necessarily being overseen directly by the planning process. There will be checks and balances, of course, worked into the scheme to ensure compliance with existing codes. We recognize that as we move to more renewable energy initiatives in Bermuda, we will need to increase the number of people working in the industry, particularly those who can do installs onto homes and commercial buildings. As a result, we will be introducing a training program to provide persons with the necessary training to become solar installers, and they'll be able to work to meeting the requirements to become a competent person as well. The Department of Planning will also introduce decreased application fees for planning applications and building permits associated with renewable energy, subject to the appropriate approvals. I'm also pleased to announce that the Department of Planning has approved a significantly large and impressive solar array station installation on Pitts Bay Road at the headquarters of Bacardi International Limited, consisting of 748 panels covering an area of 13,478 square feet, which will provide a capacity of 254.32 kilowatts. Very impressive project. Other commercial projects, like the recently announced project on Richmond Road, are expected to add more solar energy resources to Bermuda's electricity grid. These private sector projects will contribute to the realization of the Regulatory Authority's IRP, which outlines the strategy to deliver clean and continuous sources of renewable energy in the areas of solar, wind, and biomass. Working with the Regulatory Authority, we will be tabling legislation in the next sitting of the House to create what will be referred to as a regulatory sandbox. This is to encourage international investment that will test new renewable technologies in Bermuda. We are already working with potential investors to provide support and locations to test many and certainly approve new technologies. I will now talk briefly about the approval of the application submitted by Algonquin Power and Utilities Corporation for the transfer of ownership of Ascendant Group Limited, specifically the Bermuda Electric Light Company, known as BELCO, that was announced by Ascendant in the media yesterday. Contrary to certain comments and reports that I have read, the approval was given by the RA after I communicated the approval of the transfer, which is according to the law. However, I must stress that approval was not given until I was satisfied as the minister responsible for regulatory affairs that the application met the requirements of my directions, which set a priority of the purposes of the Act, which are: 1, protecting end users of electricity with respect to pricing and affordability, adequacy, safety, and reliability; ensuring the adequacy, safety, and reliability of electricity; promoting the use of cleaner energy; providing non-discriminatory access to the grid; encouraging energy efficiency; promoting economic efficiency in the provision of electricity. There was considerable and much back and forth between the RA and my offices until I was satisfied that the application that was submitted and the conditions which form part of the proposal license were enough to meet my directions and certainly government policy. This represents what we feel is a real opportunity with the eventual conclusion of the process of the change of control of Ascendant BELCO for new leadership to take this company, our only utility company, in a positive, sustainable direction. I don't have to remind anyone here or the members of the public of the turmoil over the last 2 years, including serious industrial action, the dismissal of highly qualified and experienced Bermudian executives and other staff, and major disruption in the power generation. Most recently, the problems with air quality and discharge from the North Station power plant. At this junction, I want to ensure residents that the regulatory authority, the ministry, along with the environmental authority, are obtaining an independent opinion regarding this issue, which should contribute to a solution. The new North Station replacement generation plant was brought into operation with a considerable amount of optimism. The new installation was to allow old generation to be decommissioned and thus bring modern, efficient, clean generation to the fore and to an operation. This, unfortunately, has not been the experience, especially of the residents who are neighbors of the BELCO plant. There have been a number of instances publicly reported since the plant came online of discharge and air quality issues that have plagued the area around the plant. I have for myself seen the results of these unacceptable occurrences. Neighbors are right now unhappy, frustrated, and concerned about the damage to their properties, the quality of their water from their tanks, and their overall environmental welfare. This situation has not been dealt with a level of satisfaction by BELCO. My colleagues who represent the area, along with the area residents, have made this absolutely clear to me and have demanded action. As stated earlier, the government has commenced a process and will be pursuing what additional environmental initiatives and steps the company can and will pursue to mitigate the situation and further discharge events. This will include, and I want to make this clear, this will include scrubbers on the stacks, assisting property owners with ensuring clean water is available, and proactive steps to remediate property damage from any discharges. I hope that was heard by everyone. Public confidence right now in BELCO is at an all-time low. But we expect that the new leadership, who will come out of the process of the change of control, will want to do everything possible to restore confidence in BELCO as a good corporate citizen. Algonquin is a company with substantial experience in renewable energy. It is our expectation that they will bring that level of commitment to Bermuda. We will, over time, see the decommissioning of fossil fuel generation in Bermuda for both utility scale and distributive clean generation to the island is what will result going forward. This government is committed to a green revolution, and we know that the future BELCO company that will succeed the changing of control will be a partner to us achieving this. Finally, I want to hear from the public. I want to get feedback, and especially from our young people who have ideas, who care about Bermuda, and are concerned about Bermuda's energy future regarding efficiency and sustainability to that process. And together, all of us, we will bring an end to Bermuda's fossil fuel footprint. Thank you. With that, I'll accept any questions from the media.
Good afternoon, and thank you very much. Fiona McWhirter from the Royal Gazette. Minister, what are the next and final steps that must happen for the sale to be fully approved in terms of Ascendant and BELCO?
Well, I have fulfilled all my ministerial responsibilities under the Electricity Act and the Regulatory Act in this process. I suspect that there are other financial and company-related matters that still have to be completed. So those are matters that will be dealt with by the Ministry of Finance in conjunction with the regulatory authority.
Thank you. And perhaps would one of those be the Section 114B licence that's needed in terms of company ownership?
Yes, but that is a matter, and the details of that you can raise with the Ministry of Finance, because that will be under their responsibility.
Understood. Thank you very much. And do you know when those decisions might be made, when it might be finalised?
No, as I've said, I've fulfilled my full responsibility under the law when it comes to this process. So it went back to the regulatory authority. They would have communicated that decision to the Algonquin and Ascendant, and now whatever other processes have to be completed are in the hands of other ministries or other relevant bodies, including the regulatory authority.
Understood. Thank you very much. And how confident are you that Bermuda and Bermudian residents will benefit from the sale?
Well, put it this way. There are thousands of shareholders. Most of them are average Bermudians, including former workers, current existing workers of BELCO, who will benefit from the $300+ million price of this acquisition at $36 a share, I believe was the last price. So, and I know some of these people personally. I myself have no shareholdings in BELCO, let's just be clear. So I'm not one of those people, but I know that a considerable amount of average residents, not necessarily big, wealthy holders of blocks of shares, are going to benefit from this sale.
Super, thank you. And can you say to what extent the sale and the change in power supply there will add to the government's aim to achieve 85% renewable energy? I think that's by 2035.
Yes, well, we know that Algonquin is at its core, it's a renewable energy company. It's a very diverse company, as is the public information. It's about a $10 billion company. It owns numerous energy production generation across North America. They have a considerable amount of expertise in renewable energy, and part of what I myself in their application was very closely observing was their commitment to clean energy and what they will bring to Bermuda. It is their intention to bring many of the initiatives according to their application to Bermuda that they're doing in other places, like in New England and in other parts of North America, which they have in some cases decommissioned fossil fuel plants and installed solar generation and other renewable generation. So they have a great deal of experience in that. Their application reflected a company willing to bring technologies to Bermuda that not only will affect generation on the larger scale, but also be complementary to the average living of average persons, even things like battery storage and other things. They are committed to bringing to Bermuda and testing their feasibility here for residents. So I look forward to hearing them present those ideas. They've also made some public commitments in the hundreds of millions of dollars to energy transition in Bermuda beyond the price of the sale. So I think it's for the public to observe and watch what that company, and subject to the eventual conclusion of the sale, to see what they will do.
I appreciate it. Thank you very much. Thank you all.
Bye. Any other questions? All right. No? Okay, well, thank you very much, everybody, for coming. Look forward to seeing you in the future.